So Jhey is one of the coolest and most creative people working with CSS today, I think. You may have come across some of his absolutely incredible demos on CodePen. He's done so many of them, lots of them doing like absolutely awesome things with CSS animations and 3D transforms, and pretty recently with some trigonometric functions as well. In fact, I think we've already seen a couple of his demos inserted in some other speakers' slide decks. So he's a big influence on anyone working creatively with CSS today, I think. He's also was up until recently a member of the Chrome team as well. He has a real talent for communicating and sharing this stuff too. So please welcome to the stage, Jhey Tompkins.
Turn the sun down. Bloody hell. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you all. You're all looking stylish. I had to throw a terrible dad-style Adam joke in there, wherever he is. He inspired me. Yeah. Don't have to, but if you fancy it, scan that. It's up to you. Is it going to work, though? Oh, looks like it's working. Hey, there we go. 2-minute warning. Don't, where's the sound? There we go. Cool. Sweet, it works. Yeah, guess we'll get on with it. Right. I can turn it off this time. I've put that in there. Didn't do that at the last one. Regretted it. All right. This seems kind of pointless now because you've seen loads of moving things, but there's going to be lots of moving things. So let's get on with it. This is Supercharge Your Skills for Creative Coding. Good data style hard. I never know what to title these, and I just kind of figured after looking at the deck, I am horribly inspired by video games and movies that, ironically, I never have time to play, which is probably my inner child screaming out at me. So I'm Jhey Tompkins. We'll skip past this. I bring ideas to life. You can find me online with the search engine of your choice. And this is an input, so pretty standard stuff. Yep, you've seen it before. But you can use accent color. That's good, isn't it? You can just change the color, do some stuff. Cool. But what if you change the color as the value changed? And it kind of looks like EQ bars, I think. Kind of interesting. So what would happen if I turn them all on their side? Yes, it works. Turn them all on their sides, remove the thumb. I could make like EQ, and then I'd learn how to like do audio visualization through input value, because you need to do that. And expression 3D and practically practical is how I like to think of this. But haters are going to hate, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's not practical." But I'm leveling up, and you're not. So there we go. So, so what else could you do, right? Driven by color. Silver's quite cool. It's like a pinball machine. I don't know. I can't see my screen very well. This guy's kind of shy, but we get him out of his shell, and he'll be okay. Because when you think about inputs, it's always like that, isn't it? It could be like that. You could just like drag the input, and we'll see if he'll toot us a tune. Play us out, Trombone Bear. You are allowed to use the app to fire up a confetti if you want. Normally I throw them out, but I can never find them. That's the whole reason I built that, which is another whole story. But the idea of building these things, like, for example, that demo, I learned all about synthesizing trombone sounds and stuff and went down a real GitHub hole. But you can't just do yarn add super obscure thing or npmi this thing but for React. You've got to learn how to build these things, because then essentially, you go beyond the documentation, and you become it, and then you just have this superpower where you're like, yeah, whatever, I can build it. It's just pixels, right? And these kind of things go really well hand in hand. Another film reference. Just have to get this GIF in there every time. But you sign something you want to learn, an API, or you have an idea you want to follow, and they just go really well hand in hand. Like, you just go down this like whole path, this whole journey, like accent color. Why am I visualizing inputs, audios, accent, just going down this route? Sane will know this one. If I hand you a piece of paper, what's your first thought? I did a workshop with Sane. People started pulling out pens. What did we do? We made paper airplanes, and we threw them around the room for like 20 minutes. And this is the whole idea. It's all about perspectives and creativity, innovation, and it's like a constant cycle, right? And this is how kind of like the web works, really, because people just come up with ideas, they get creative with it, these perspectives change things, and things get innovated, and they work their way back into the platform, and then people come up with new ideas, and they do something else, and then it all goes back in again. So the idea is just hoard all your inspiration and focus on what you want to make, and not how or why. You worry about that after. And it's all about where you want to go, your destination. Do you want to go to conform town, just be like everyone else, or do you want to actually make cool stuff and carve your own path? I know where I'd rather go. And these are just some random projects I've made over time that people might know of. Funny enough, I was at a conference a couple of months ago, and someone showed the middle one, but they were crediting someone else for God knows how long. So that was interesting. but yeah, just make things because you want to make them, right? Like this slide deck, I put visual cues in. It's a bear on a skateboard because I didn't want to remember to talk about the slide deck and do the demo. Good, that's just triggered it. This slide deck is built with view transitions and SPA, and it's pub sub, and I have a little remote, and I can do stuff with it. So, for example, I like Minority Report. Is it going to work? Come on. It should work with my hands. Let me give it a refresh. No. Nope. Nope. Well, it does work. And people saw it. Next slide. Might be the acoustics. Anyway, let me give it a refresh, see if it works. Should work. Typical, isn't it? Last talk I want to do, the bloody remote don't work. Oh well. We'll carry on. Ooh. Okay. We did wonder. Alrighty then. Well, there was a cool bit where I said, like, show some style, and it goes to the next thing, and then I tell you about all these things, and let's dig into some CSS, and then we say, no one wants to read all this because it's Friday. Cool. Right, well, today's request, anyway, was show awesome stuff with CSS, and it was really hard to curate all the stuff I've tried to fit in here. And the deck did break about 20 minutes before I came on, and it was a bit of a stressful moment. But it looks like it might hold up. Who knows? But yeah, CSS is getting a lot of superpowers at the moment, and it's becoming pretty powerful. The things you can do are wild. Say something. Okay, well, we're in a pretty awesome space for the web platform, and it's definitely a golden era for creative CSS. Sweet. That worked. Ah. So this is a tiny little bit on view transitions. Again, this slide deck's built out of view transitions, and I just find them fascinating. I think people are going to find really awesome ways to use them. This isn't that fascinating. All I'm doing is it's a slide deck, and you can whiz through it, and Brahms is going to tell you all about how this all works and all these magical things, but it's basically take two snapshots, animate one to the other if you want. That's how it looks. Realize I don't really need to brush through all this stuff because Brahms has got you covered. But you can do stuff like, move between states, and it will do all these nice little things for you. And you don't have to worry about how am I going to do this flip animation, because you get the cheapest flip animation out of the box. Just give it a view transition name and do something with it. And then everyone has this kind of like aha moment where it's like, it's update DOM, not update page. And they go on to write a passage and they do like animated grids and things. I presented some stuff about this last year, and Adam did a really cool talk on it with like MPA, and it's like, it's going places. It's going to be pretty interesting. But moving between slides is an update, right? All I'm doing is I've just got loads of slides in the DOM, and I'm just saying display block, display none on them, and each time through, I can just do cool transitions. So like, I've got slide out, slide in. That's just the standard. And I could do like a little shrink, or I could do like a little swap in and swap out. But the last conference I spoke at, John Romero was there, and he worked on Doom, and he wasn't in the talk, so that was kind of awkward when I brought this one up. but you could do like a little doom melt. So that's kind of cool. So next slide is a doom melt, and I thought that was cool. But the only reason I'll squeeze these in is because view transition is going to come in a little bit later because I've got a cool demo that I like to show. That's a view transition as well, a little stinger. So CSS has. Everyone know what has is? Speaking to the right room, aren't I? I realized this yesterday when Sane was talking. He just flippantly mentioned has, and I was like, oh yeah, everyone knows CSS in this room. So we'll squeeze Dom Toretto in there. I like to think of has as the family selector, not just the parent selector. I feel like that's not very inclusive. So yeah, that's how it works. Target has a condition. Do some styles. You know how it works if you do something downwards, but you could also do the person next to you, right? Give them a greeting. They're your sibling. Well, they're not really. Well, they might be. Don't know. Got any siblings? No? Okay. But you break the mental model. You flip it. So you can go up to the sides, down, wherever you want to go. And it's kind of fun. I'm not going to do layout examples because everyone's seen cards and counting and grids. And it is Friday and it's warm. So we're going to do dynamic state stuff. We'll start off with something kind of boring. Don't know why it's doing that. That's a weird thing. But if you type into a form, you don't really get much sort of visual feedback. It's not very fun until you go to the end and you use like required or something. But you could hook into the form state, right? Because it's dynamic. So you could do like, focus within, or if it's in an invalid state or a valid state, and then you can start updating custom properties as you go. And you're like, okay, cool. Now it's yellow because I'm typing, and I've got these weird scroll bars inside the input, which I don't understand. And that's gone red because I haven't put in a valid email. That's kind of cool. And I go on, and I think, all right, well, if I split up the characters, give them custom properties that I can then use as indexes, because we're waiting for sibling count, aren't we, Sane? Yep. And you can use that. So you could hook into that, and you could do something like watch the little input as we type, a little jump, right? Just a little micro interaction. So fun. And then you could do an obnoxious shake when it's wrong and show something else. Yeah, this is great. You're just showing us forms. That's really boring. You could do something like a dark mode switch. That one's quite fun. That was one that you sort of discover early on. Oh, I can just root has anything now. Use aria press true, though, and read Hayden's book, if he's here, wherever he is. It's a good book, Inclusive Components. That'll tell you all about button toggles and things. Try and use aria pressed on a button, and you could do something like this. So I'm just flipping aria pressed. But I could do a dark mode that takes my whole page away in 3D, and it's just CSS, and it just flips it. But I'm using that little script that little bit of JavaScript just to flip the pressed. Triggered by a lot of TikToks as well. And it's just a toggle at the end of the day, right? He's got a lot going on there, but it's just a toggle. So, you just take that. It's the same deal. Just flipping it. Just one custom property, flip it, and yeah, just flip it. It's going to come through? Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's how it looks. Scott O'Hara does a nice little article on doing inclusive, accessible toggles. That's one to check, but obviously I'm going to change the slide and you won't have taken that URL, so if you need it, you'll know where to find me. Hovering over stuff. That's another interaction that's kind of fun. Hover over something, show a cursor. That's quite cool. I've just got an element that's following around the page using the update pointer that Sane showed yesterday, but as I hover over, I'm just saying hey, activate that cursor. That's how it looks. Root has article hover, active 1, update the cursor, show it. And then you could do different things based on the scope. You could be like, when I'm on one of these cards, show me a different hue, or I don't know, where's Sophie? You've probably got some interest in GeoCities custom cursors to show, built out of GIFs. You can do stuff like this. So you can do a little hover and sort of ignore all the rest of it. Make sure it's keyboard accessible so you can tab through. Kind of cool. I can't see the arrows. The glare is interesting. But that's how it looks. You're just doing something like info has, something hovered, then take all the other lines, hide them. All right? You've seen it all before. Now, this is interesting a bit, because I've got a demo here, and then Sane showed us how to do it properly yesterday, but I thought I'd leave it in the deck anyway. I'll leave it in there. So, this is OSDock interaction from the Center for Developers That Don't Math Good. If you want to do the OSDock in 2 seconds without learning all the math, you can just do like a little one here. So mine doesn't do all the width stuff. It stays the same width, but you get a nice little hover and you can scale stuff up. But we're doing it the wish.com style. We've just got calc, sin, 30, 20, 10, 1 at the top, 0 at the bottom. Done. Right? There's Sane. He had to be the cover child for this one. So it's just a radio button. It's just checks. Stripe did this, and someone said, hey, Jay, can you make that in CSS? You can, kind of. No JavaScript required. My photo does not look good on that one. But Sane's looks quite good, so we'll stick with that. All right, let's get on to something interesting. Let's do games. Games are fun. Write a passage, tic-tac-toe, just has, right? Again, we're just doing state. Has, select the thing. Let's make crosses win. I could have played that with someone, I guess, but oh well. We've got other games we can play. So that's how it looks, right? You just got a board. You're just doing some checks. Nothing special. Board has checked. Check, check, check. Do a turn. Every time there's a turn, update a Z index. Get someone to move. Cool, right? And that's how it looks. You got like a winning element screen dialogue pops up based on different combinations. And there you go. But you could do Connect 4 as well. So any takers who wants to play this one? No? All right, cool. All right. Don't all speak up at once. I used to play, well, I've played this game many a time by myself, so it's fun. Debugging, y'all. Just to prove someone does win. There we go. Cool. But that's all right, and you learn some more stuff about it. And you think, well, this would have worked, but I actually had to play with the DOM a bit differently because it wouldn't quite work how I wanted to. So I added like some data attributes, and then I was like, now I can do it. So diagonals are going to be like when there's certain attributes in a certain way. And that's kind of cool. But what other kind of weird games could you make? So this one, I'll definitely not be able to do because I'm like shaking a bit. And the colors have let me down there. But, like the little wire game. So I've got like a timer, and it's all CSS. And I'm like, please? And, I mean, if I do this in one, I could have just completely smoke and, no, I didn't. I was going to say, I could have just completely smoke and mirrors you and told you I was really good at it. But it's just has again, right? It's just hovering over a certain space. And then when I click the thing, I go into a new state, and I say, well, now if you don't hover on the wire, show this thing again and block it all off. All right, cool. So we're seeing what's possible. We're exploring, right? Just for the fun of it. What could this be? So we've got mine count. Yeah, Minesweeper. Sticker to that man. Minesweeper, CSS. You can do it now because you just has it, right? So we've got a little timer in there, and it's a good start, isn't it? But you can do all the little pieces, and you can like flick that, and now I've got a flag, and there's a timer happening, and it doesn't change, obviously, because it's just CSS, but the cool thing is if you throw it on Netlify, let it build every day with a different seed, you'd get a different game every day, and then you can just like screenshot it to your friends. I don't know, do people just still do that? But anyway, the timer piece is interesting, isn't it? Because how are you doing that? Well, okay. You can use app property, which has been mentioned, take an integer, animate the integer's value, cast it with a counter into a string, then display it in a pseudo element. You've got a stopwatch, right? Done. Game over. And it won't drift either, which is really cool. So, yeah, only throwing this in here because it's going to come up again, and you want to probably understand where. Right, we're going into more games. So I'm thinking like I could hover over stuff. Where could I hover? What would I do? And for some reason, I just thought of Lilac Wars or Star Fox, depending on where you're from in the world. And I just thought, that'd be cool. So again, just CSS has a little bit of 3D thrown in. Now I've got a ship. And then we do a little cool. And I've got like a hover spots, right? I think it's pretty cool. Hit the zones. There you go. There's my hover zones. If I'm hovering over this piece, then I'm updating my camera view, and it's just like translating other things in the space. which is like, also, that little fighter ship was an absolute pain to put together. And then I thought, like, that was the hardest bit. And then I decided to do this one. So some of you might get the reference. So with a little energon and a lot of divs and a little bit of has, you can build a truck, right? But if you touch the truck, that sounds wrong. Come on. All right. I thought it was cool. But then, with a little prime enhancement, I have no idea if this will work, but we will try it. Also, Chrome sometimes decides that Autobots is a word, and sometimes it doesn't, so this is... Autobots, roll out. What's playing? Ah, is it? It's in. It's in. Which one? They're both. Oh, this one. Ah, there we go. Let's put some weight on it. All right. That's better. All right. We got a little fallback just in case. There we go. You know the 1986 film?
You got the touch!
Sweet. All right. Let's move on. OpenUI. Let's do something interesting. All right. Goal of OpenUI initiative, make it easier for developers to make great user experiences. It's 2023, and you still can't style a bloody select, right? Or can you? So you ask ChatGPT, and it will tell you, yeah, sure, I've got your back. Here you go. And you put it in the browser, and it does bugger all. So you're like, okay, this is the problem. I just want to take some options and show them, and show the font size, but it doesn't do anything. So I think, right, well, I have to make it myself then, right? How hard can it be? So I take two things and I put them next to each other and I'm like, how am I going to position it? Fine, I'll put them in a wrapper and I'll just dock it to the bottom. Sweet. So I'm going to have that issue, right? When I show it, then something else in the DOM is going to overlap it, and that's going to be a pain I don't want in my life. So I present to you CSS anchoring, right? An idea, yeah, you can't use it yet though. The idea being that you want to anchor something to something else, but you don't want to use wrappers and stuff or bring in your mate's favorite crypto library that does it all for you. So you take two things, a boat and an anchor, right? And obviously I'm using a little bit of JavaScript to drag it around. We haven't got that far with CSS. But you can just anchor something to something else with this anchor function. So it's just moving around and it just follows it all for me, which is pretty damn sweet. But it has this cool thing called position fallback, which will work out where it is in the viewport and be like, you ain't seeing that, let me put it somewhere for you. So if I'm there at the top, well, I'm in the center, but if I go north, okay, it can keep it, right? But it moved. It was at the top of the top of the anchor, and then went to the bottom. If I drag it around, you can actually see that it will move for me. The browser's doing all of this for me, which is pretty sweet. That takes out a lot of JavaScript dependency management. But you could do something like this, right? You could try and build like a little drop down. This one's quite an interesting one. You've got like a little dropper and you want to show it, and you've got like these nested menus, but they're all anchored in popovers. That's the spoiler. We're going to do some popovers. Header's got you covered on them already, so you know what they are. Good stuff. But if you move this around, it's going to work out the position again for me. I'm not doing anything. It's just doing it all for me, letting the browser do the work. I don't want to worry about that. I want to make Optimus Prime. I don't care about making my menu fit in the screen. So that's how it looks. This is an interesting piece as well that came up quite early when I started playing around with it, which is like, I need to share the position fallback because I don't want to write one for everything. So you get this anchor default thing as well. You can just throw that in, and then you can obfuscate the first parameter, which is kind of cool. Oh, okay, we are going to work. But the cool part is you can anchor to more than one thing, and I know Roman is, oh, he's right there. That's perfect. He wrote up a really good piece on this technique. You can anchor to multiple things. So if you anchor a div between two draggable pieces, then you can kind of do like a little quadrant type effect. So like that's one div, that's a second div, that's a third and a fourth, right? Now all I have is the draggable piece, but when you take that a bit further, that's how it looks, right? Because like right can't be less than left and all that, and you sit there tinkering. But you could like do something pretty cool with it. So you could build an entire like chart system. So it could be like B, all right, let me connect that to A. And this just borders, right? But it will update and keep in check, which is kind of cool. Like, and I can just be like, right, I'm going to anchor this one to B, and maybe I'll anchor D to A. And then when I move it, it's all just divs, but anchor positioning is keeping it all in check. Obviously, I haven't spent time creating a fancy-looking chart because that is boring, and I do not have time for that. But I built the concept, and I thought it was kind of cool. But you'll remember this piece, right, from earlier? Well, it's the same concept. So I can just drag these little nodes around and create whatever I want with that, and it's all just gradients animating that are like masked off. And I thought that was much cooler to spend time on, so that's what I did. Cool. Appreciate it. Anchoring transitions, that was another thing like I've tried to tackle early on. Like, I want to move things, it's me, I want to add transitions, I don't want to do static stuff. So this one's cool, it can do like moving between nav items, and the little anchored thing updates its anchor position. And how's it going to do that? How am I going to tell it to do that? Well, I just use has, right? Because we've already looked at has, and has, now I can say has that anchor hover, move the thing to anchor to that, because I have the top, right, bottom, left positions. I can just do it, which is sweet. But what else could I do with it? I could do something a bit different. Also, cool one here, right? You know when you put like a little reveal button inside an input, and you want to show the password? You just anchor it to the input, which is kind of cool. You just say like anchor to the right of the input. You don't have to do any weird like wrapper things. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, don't know why the inputs are showing up like this. Really not nice to look at. But yeah, has hover, show a bear. Transition, the paw to the focused input. Sweet. All right. The input reveal is a button that's anchored to the input. Has, reveal, show, thing, right? Cool. Put in something, oof woof. Put in a password, hide it. We didn't put in a good email, right? So we need to put in a proper email. Obviously, oofwoof@gmail.com. Didn't like that. Come on, do it. CSS states, he's not going to do it, is he? I think I have to put in this one first, then this one. There we go. Who's going to do X state for CSS? That's what I need. Right, so we can anchor the button, right? We've solved the problem. Let's make our select menu. Done, right? No, we've still got the issue, right? Because wrappers isn't the issue, it's bloody Z-index. So, we had a bit of a skip there. No stinger. All right, cool. Again, no, not quite yet. But it'll get there. Because you don't want to be doing this anymore. That'll be valid, though. It does actually work. But don't do it. It's better than date.now. But yeah, the popover, right? Healer's got you covered. The top layer, place outside of the document flow. You can put stuff up there, and it goes above everything else, and you get a stylable backdrop. But that's kind of an interesting one because they're not modal, so I just need a backdrop, and then you go down a path of like accessibility stuff, and it's interesting. But this is what you could put in it, and you put like a little popover, right? No one wants to see just a popover with some text in it, so put a face on it. That's all you need, though, but you already know this, because if you saw Healer's talk, he showed you how to do it. So I'll just show you something cool with it. Popover target action, though, that's long, no one wants it, But think of all the stuff you're getting for free, right? You don't have to write this anymore. You don't have to do any JavaScript to be like, how am I going to write a light dismiss? Well, I'll do body click when it's open, and no one wants to do that. I just want to press the escape key. And the idea being that better developer experience leads to less opportunity for poor user experience, but the jury's obviously still out on that one. What can you do with it? Well, we've already heard about starting style and being able to transition sort of discrete things around, so we don't need to dig into that, but you use popover open. You got a load of types and behaviors. Auto will light dismiss, manual won't. It's explicit. There are rules. Read the explainer, go into the spec. There's a JS API. You can do stuff like before toggle and toggle. And this one's interesting. I threw this one back in for Hida because he talked about menu. Menu came up as a question. A popover that's off canvas menu is totally doable because you can just put it to the side, and then when you want to show the popover, transition it in. So the menu's a popover, and then obviously it gets all the niceties of like keyboard focus and stuff, so you can go through. But it's sort of like, how should it work when you click off, or is that right? Is it the right way? But it is kind of cool, and it's our friend again, Has. Has is at the root of everything. It's just changing CSS, right? But body has menu popover open, translate it across, translate the popover across, and it's kind of seamless. But then you learn and you want to make weird stuff because you want to find the edge cases of the APIs and find out what goes wrong or how to do things. So this is a little custom cursor. Probably not as good as some of Sophie's collection, I'm sure. She does have lots of custom cursors on her theme. But if you show another pop-up, a popover, however you want to call it, it will replace, like it's stack, right? So it's last in on top. So what you have to do is you have to hide and show the ones underneath to make sure it's always on top. So custom cursors, that's how I discovered that one. Toast notifications, another one, right? You want them to be above. They need to sit above everything. This is not probably the greatest example because there's no content underneath it. So I could be lying and you wouldn't know. So, but you can flip them, and I think that's cool. So have at it. A taskbar. This is quite a common pattern we see a lot of. So I'm doing a little, is it going to work? Come on, Jay. I don't know why that input thing's weird, but it's the same kind of deal, right? It's a popover. It's a popover with a nested popover that's a drop-down, and it's anchored to the original popover. And then I can just do like controls inside it, light dismiss it away. Sweet. And that's kind of how the markup looks. And you could do a floating action button as a popover, right? When I open it, has popover open, rotate the little thing. You see how this is all just threading itself together, making my life easier? You could put whatever you want in there. Will it work? Yes, it will. That's me. So you can put yourself in it. Damn, the color is not good for me though here, so we'll move on from that. But yeah, it's our friend Has again. Just rotate things on has, state, state management, CSS, cool. Errors, yes. 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 All right. Now, this is, my hands are a bit greasy. Let's see. Can I put something cool in a popover? Yes. All right. We're cooking. Oh, yeah, boy. Right. So, I can put something in a popover. I could tear the page, and then I don't know how it's going to work with the reactions over the top. So, when I click it, it's a view transition to the next slide, or whatever slide I want. Pretty cool, right? You wouldn't be saying that if you saw me debugging it. And then it's like, well, I want to make a game, right? Popovers, pops, balloons, makes sense. So it's a game with popovers and has. I press start, my dialogue goes away, and a counter begins, and it's wave 1. And it's like a speed run of Where's Waldo from Sane, and you've got to find the golden bear. All right, so he's over there, and you click him, and I can't click him because he's bloody too fast. Come on. Please. Oh gosh, I've really got to time this well, haven't I? Oh God. Little fucker. Fuck off. Come on. Right, let's see if I get a slower bear. It's all right, I just use a bit of JS at the start to generate the markup, but then it's just all HTML and CSS after. Damn it, where's the... I should have left it on an easier level, but I thought it wouldn't... Oh, there he is. Right, then you go to wave 2, right, and you keep going. Oh God, where is he now? Freaking bears everywhere. Fuck. Can you see him? Middle. Ah, he's behind there. No, not the dictionary. Fuck. Right, he'll be back. He'll be back. Because it's just an infant animation, right? It's just a loop, and it's just timers and custom properties. There we go. Wave 3. You keep going. It's timed. It counters the popped balloons. And then at the end, we're not going to wave 5. We'll be here all afternoon. Look how many bloody bears there are. But it's a counter, and then you get a game, and it comes up at the end, and you can restart it, and you hook into all the cool things on the platform, right? Because it's a form. Every balloon is a checkbox, apart from the one that closes the popover and opens the next popover in the chain, because that won't dismiss the first popover. Come on, it's just popovers. He just got you covered, man. He just got you covered. He just got your back, right? Right, back to it. We can anchor the drop down, get it above everything else, select menu, right? Someone's put this in an API for you, so you don't have to build it all. Sweet. You can't use it, remember that. That's how it looks. We take our original idea, I just want to make font sizes show, and I do it, right? I just style it, and it's done, and I get all the transitions and the anchoring and everything for free, and the keyboard accessibility, and it's amazing. Here's some highlights. Again, has on the marker. When the popover's open, flip the little marker around. Just little touches like that are pretty fun, like pretty cool to discover as you're doing it. But yeah, built into platform, no downloads necessary, no version dependency management stress. Just go read the explainer. Be easier. And you can do the poster child of select menu, which is just putting a bloody flag in it. There you go. That's like such a common question I got when I was doing a lot of select menu stuff. Can I build a country selector with a flag? Come on, imagine something else. So I spoke in Prague a while, and someone did something about futuristic UI, and I was like, cyberpunk, right? Cool. And it sounds so ominous when it's loud, but it was a cool experiment because it's like, how would you transition each option like in a sequence? Like that's kind of interesting. I just forgot to do something actually. You've seen the balloons now, so have at it. Oh, you don't need parachutes yet. Maybe we'll disable that one for now. No, please. Right, there we go. All right. Anyway, so you hover over these, and they make ominous noises, and you select one, and it does some scrambly stuff. And you think, right, I've solved that. What shall I do next? And you work out about doing, like, calc transitions. Don't know why. I had this idea that if I put a blue bear, like, that would make me stop on the slide, and someone could take a photo, because it's always annoying when you sit there, and you're like, you just get your camera out, and they change bloody slide. You can use it in React, if you want. You could build a Pokemon loader. And you could use position sticky, right, in the options. Grass type, poison type. Favorite Pokemon? Yes! Magikarp. I'm a big fan of Psyduck as well. Big fan of Psyduck. A lot of Charizards, though. It's just a different shaped button, right? There's still a select menu with a different interaction. And just put big emojis in it. But it's still the same HTML. I still get all the keyboard controls. I can still do everything I wanted to. I'm just making it look different. Did a talk in Tokyo. They like sushi. So it's a select menu where you can pick sushi, right? Just felt like I should build something themed for the talk. So I did a lot of like interesting things. I had a select menu with like a conveyor belt that was driven by scroll-driven animations. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, I'm thinking like, could I build a 3D select menu? Yes, I could. Here it is. Tuna sushi for everyone. But does it have to be in a straight line or a grid? No. It could be cyclical as well. And then you could keep going round infinitely with your keyboard, picking the thing, like a palette. A bit dull, don't it? Picking colors. A bit boring. So, I hope the noise is on for this one. If you're feeling lucky, you could come to my friend's show. Cool. Right, so it's a wheel, right? Wheel of Fortune as a select menu. Oh, no. Pin badge. Who wants a pin badge? Actually, no. I should just pick someone. Who wants to spin on the wheel? Anyone? No one? You were first. All right, let's go. No, you don't want coffee. That's boring. Come on. Oh, we've lost the cursor. Where you gone? Got to sort out his contract. Come find me after. I've got loads of stuff. That goes for everyone. I'm inclusive. All right, but it's not very dramatic, and films are good, so it kind of like, I don't know, like I'm steering a big truck, but a truck of the sea. I learned a lot about the directions of boats when I built this demo. But yeah, gestures are cool. You probably won't need a steering wheel for a boat, which I really had to question whether it was actually called like a pirate ship wheel or something. I don't know if there's a technical term. I don't know a lot about boats, but you can tug it. I'm not going to say it feels good, although I've just done it now, and that's weird innuendo. But you could stretch the drop down and like do a nice little satisfying tug, and take it far enough, and it springs back in. But you could like pull it all the way, and, like, detach it, move it around, and it looks like a catapult to me. So it's our friend again, the bear. Show the bear. His little feet are dangling. I think that's pretty cool. And you can join in at home. But you tug him too hard. Oh, that doesn't sound good, does it? Bad day at the office. So yeah, startable selects coming, and so are bear catapults, maybe. I don't know. Let's do some scrolly stuff. I'm mindful of time. Brahms has heavy cover for this, so I'm barely going to touch how these things work, and I'll probably drift through a lot of it. But I got to spend a lot of time with GreenSock release for Scroll Trigger a few years ago, and they said, like, hey, do you want to come make some random demos before we release it and see what you can do? And I spent ages trying to do this infinite cover flow thing, and this kind of like scrolly gun thing, and I was like, it'd be cool to see if this API can do some of those demos, like, where can I go with it? You get two different ways of doing it. You can base something on you can hook up your animation to the scroll position of a thing, or where a thing is in the viewport. And it's kind of cool, right? You could do animated image reveals because they're just coming into the viewport. Cool. And yeah, that's how it looks. You've just got some elements, and you're just hooking up the animation to animation timeline view. You get a little function. You get some ranges, and scroll snap works pretty well with some of these demos, depending on what mouse you're using. It's a bit fiddly. You can use the JS API, but again, Brian's going to have your back on all of this stuff. But Dom Toretto's back, right? In his new outing, Tokyo Scroll, and he's going to show us how the covers work. So, as you scroll through, all right, because again, it's just all driven by scroll now, no JavaScript required. So this is Brian. I can't remember his second name in the films, but as he comes across, he's showing us the different ranges, and the numbers are animated with our technique from earlier, sweet, and they're driven by scroll. So this is all just working now, and as I come through, I can see the different ranges. So we've got like contain, cover, entry. Now we're starting on exit because Brian's leaving, but Dom Toretto's having none of that, is he? So we bring him in, and then we can see Dom Toretto's timeline, and he comes zooming past with flames because he's family. Anyway, some fancy website. You just do some scrolly content reveals as you go down. It's all right. But the cool bit is when you start like taking the animations and threading the custom properties into it, because you can do stuff with the different animations. And when you come out, you think, how are you doing the little ring in the top? Trigonometric functions. The ability to lay out words in circles has evaded us for so long. But now you can just do it in CSS. We just need that sibling count piece. But it's kind of cool. You could just do circular words, and I'm animating it on scroll because I think that looks cool. But yeah, there you go. You can just type whatever you want in. So, hello, oh no. And it just works it all out, like CSS doing your thing. I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, we'll get back to the cool stuff. So, remember, it's not scroll triggered, it's like scroll driven. So you've got to like drive whatever you're doing. You can't be like, get to a point and trigger the animation. For that, you're still going to need something like intersection observer or something like that. But it's kind of fun, like you tweak it and you can kind of do like infinite body scrolling, and you got this little like bear cart thing. But if you start small, you got like these little micro interactions, so like a sticky header or something like that. It's all possible now because you can just do it based on the scroll position. I'm just saying, as soon as I've scrolled past a certain distance, like bring in a shadow, stick the thing, make the little search bar go in, like they're all cool little interactions. But you could do other stuff, right? You take like an avatar, and as that goes up, you could tuck it into the corner, right? And then I'm like blurring out the header, I'm shifting the avatar across, it's doing something else, but it's like, that's pretty sweet. And I don't need any JavaScript or any weird like flip animation stuff. I'm just doing it. It's kind of how it looks. Again, Bram's got your back on this. All kind of little micro interactions. Take the body in, cool. Popover Island, I thought this was fun. Take a popover, chuck that at the top, make it always show. Notice how the scroll bar is like slightly down. So you scroll snap, the rest of your body scrolls fine, but you have like a little gap at the top. And then you use a little GUI filter, and then you could make a pull to refresh in a popover that then pulls down and actually hook into it to do a loader and then fire it back up. I don't know. Probably won't ever use it, but I know how to do it. So, but yeah, a lot of this stuff is like thinking in space. You've got to think with like gaps of how you're going to do stuff. So like constantly going down in the scroll, but now I'm translating something across and I've padded it out by however much of the body I need to do it. And I've got my little trigonometric ring in the top showing me my progress. And you can start doing like parallaxy type things. It's all right. You could do it in different ways. You could maybe fix it to the backdrop and translate it based on where the section is in the viewport. Or you could use timeline scope and hoist it and put them in different places. And that way you're able to sort of read the positions by hoisting the timelines. I do have a demo that shows that. But yeah, you can do kind of interesting things. Like this is like a curved thing, but it's not curved because it's just a mask, and it kind of gives the effect that like maybe it's curved and it's cool and edgy, right? Because it's on awards or something. I don't know. But you do other stuff as well, right? Scroll through. You got like a little, again, just crisscrossy scrolling. Those aren't going to load because the Wi-Fi is questionable. Again, it's just animations with custom properties doing their own thing. Drive something with a center column, that's fine, all good. But the real trick is when you get into this piece. So you could do a different axes, which is fine. You could do like 3D, do a map. They're responsive, cross the thing. I am mindful of time, I can see you there. Do like a contact list kind of thing. Again, bro, I'm just going to have you on all the technicals for this. This was kind of cool. Someone asked if you could do like a blog post progress thing. That's kind of fun. But if you keep going through, you can do like a cover flow. We've mentioned that. As you, well, we can just end it. Animate the scaling. Cool. That's fine. And it's just different timelines based on the position. Cool one here is you're just doing the transform origin, so they look like they come from behind, but they don't, because they're just list items that are just scrolling in. We don't need to look at all of this, because we just want to get to the end so I can get off the stage. Who is arguably one of the best for doing scrolly things? Them, right? They're pretty good at it. They set a pretty high level for doing it. And you could do all these kind of scrolly timelines. So if I took a page, and it's just a standard page, like a personal website, take a video of myself, and do something like that from earlier, chuck it into FFmpeg, get all the frames as images, remove the backgrounds, drop it into Figma, auto layout so it looks like a sprite, all right? Put it into an image, then you can scroll yourself, right? Because you're just animating object position, and then you can do all sorts of interesting things. Come on, Wi-Fi. But you could totally do like little pop-out animations and stuff, and then you take it and you create your own little scrolly personal website where you come through, you use the counters from earlier. I built lots of demos. Here's a laptop that jumps up and spins around. It turns into the next section, which goes down. View timeline on the words. They fade in. Some hover out. We get to the end. There's my notebook. Done. Sign it off. And that is pretty much it. CSS, right? Cool. Oh. But we have to debunk that with scroll animation as well, right? Cool. So at the end of the day, and it is the end, it's cool. I have just squeezed in, I think. But at the end of the day, buy your ticket and just have fun with it, right? Just have fun. Like, just create a scroller coaster. Just infinite scrolling fun. And yeah, plant your seeds, enjoy your journey, watch yourselves grow, supercharge, yada, 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 inspirational, insert here, and stay awesome.
Thank you so
We got
much,
time?
Jhey. Yeah, we're going to do a super quick Q&A, I think, while we set up for the next speaker. So we're not really going to have much of a break in between these two. But yeah, like that was absolutely incredible. I think I speak for all of us when I say
tried to long it
our
out
minds
so I
are
didn't have to
blown.
try and get on this stool.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm terrified for my life every time. Yeah, I don't think we had a whole heap of questions because everyone was just like, wow, what the actual hell? But
CSS, yo. That's just how it is.
what I love about your demos is we can just like chat about them because they're certainly like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah,
But,
I tried to hold some back for this one. I had some ideas, and yeah, we had to blitz through some of them. I was mindful. It's that damn game show host. I need to like tie him down on a better contract.
Well, yeah, you've managed to fit a hell of a lot in there anyway. But yeah, you're obviously like a super creative person, which is awesome. And I think probably a lot of us are sitting in the audience now going, okay, well, like this is amazing, and I want to try and experiment with this stuff. But like, I'm like, how do I get ideas to do this sort of thing? Like, where do you get your inspiration from? I mean, we saw
Just-
like some video game.
Yeah, just literally anywhere. Like, you get, and I obviously tried to obfuscate some of the slides because I was mindful of time, but just write down everything. Like, don't be worried about, oh, I'm not going to have time to do it. Just like hoard your inspiration, your ideas, and just kind of like, you just plant that seed, right? That's why I do the accent color one at the start, 'cause it's like, that's fun. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll come back to it. And then like, it was only last event, I was like, do you know what would be funny if the bear was like a trombone player? I was like, I'll just build that then. And you just kind of like go with it. And yeah, you don't go like that overnight. I've obviously done this a long time. But you get better and better, and you go on your own path. Like, that's what was really fascinating. Like, it was really cool seeing Sunny yesterday. He's on his own journey, and he does his own like interesting takes on things. He's gone like down a math route that I really wouldn't want to go down. Because I look at it and I'm like, whoa, but I like boxes, so I can make them move around.
Do you ever sort of sketch out ideas and storyboards, or do you just treat the browser as your sketchbook?
More of the latter, unless it's really complicated. So that Optimus Prime was an absolute journey.
Yeah,
I had to sketch that one out. Yeah, you never realize I don't know why I'm talking about Optimus Prime now, but you never realize the dimensions of actually trying to tuck his fists in and everything. It's like, damn, this guy's built well. Like,
yeah, I mean, I recently had to build a cardboard dinosaur head for my child, and
yeah.
I can just only imagine how much
can
more
empathize.
complex. It was definitely some of that thinking going on there.
Yeah, I think just follow whatever you want to do. Like, and you never know where it's going to take you. Like, you just skill up, learn all these cool things, and like, it just adds a bit of fun, and it makes like your work day kind of easier as well, right? Because it's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, if you can get away with doing it at work, that's pretty awesome. So speaking of which, is there anything you've built like that you've just thought is like absolutely like ridiculous and creative and fun that has unexpectedly led to like serious paid for work?
I mean, to say all of it is a bit bad, but I guess in a way, kinda, because it kind of become a reputation which I was unaware of. So when people reach out and they're like, and then I'll be like, well, why did you reach out to me? And they're like, oh, we saw a thing where you made a thing fly across, and so you must be good at React. You know? So I mean, that's the thing, right? Like that's what I do for work. I like SPAs and engineering. It's not whizzy stuff. This is like the hobby. So it's just kind of leads on to wherever.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us today. That was awesome. Another
Thanks for
round of
having me
applause,
again.
please, for Jhey.